Hello everyone, this is JV Worship, and I'll be going over a bass video today. In particular, I've had some people just comment about how I ad-lib and whatnot too, and maybe people who might wonder how I ad-lib on the bass. And I wanted to briefly go over that. I'm gonna, for the sake of simplicity, for worship musicians, I'm gonna go over the key of G. Just going over, and first thing you have to know in order to ad-lib, for the most part, it's know the major and minor scales. And I'm just going to start with the major scale, the G major scale, just for the sake of this video. G major scale goes. Okay, just be familiar with the G major scale, because when you play around with the key of G, the more you get used to the key of G, and you just kind of play around with it, not just with the E and A strings, but as you learn to slide, as you learn the different kind of, I guess, boxes, if I can say that, boxes in which to play around with the arpeggios and the scale of in the key of G. The more you can broaden your different ways to ad-lib. So, starting off with the key of G, the scale, G major scale, and then learning to make arpeggiate it. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can do that. But the way I like to specifically go about it is I have my fingers set, my index finger on the G, and then I play around with, I either use my pinky or my fourth finger. For this video, I'll go with the pinky. And then I stretch to the second fret. See what I'm doing there? I'm just playing around here. You can do index or middle finger, whichever one is comfortable. Right? And as for my right hand, if you can't really see what's going on there, I'm just pretty much, I'm playing around. I usually just put the thumb here, and I only use my middle and my index fingers really. I don't really use my fourth finger even. So just playing with these two is fine. But yeah, once you get used to the key of G, G major scale, then you can start ad-libbing a bit more. So I'm just gonna start by introducing. When you do ad-libs, you can, depending on where in the song, you can. There are different, I guess, notes that sound good for each chord. I guess I can demonstrate. Easy song that I like to use is "Blessed Be Your Name." Blessed be your name in the land that is plentiful, where the streams of abundance flow. Blessed be your name. So that's a really basic, easy ad-lib to use. And I end on the 4 chord. What the 4 chord, if you don't know the number system, just know that in the key of G, G is, just give it a number, it's the 1. So the key of G, the G itself is 1. You go up to A, the G major scale, A is 2, B is 3, C is 4, D is 5, E is 6, F sharp is 7, G is 8. Let's get used to that. And then so the 4 chord, the C chord, is where there's a little pause before that first verse in Blessed Be Your Name. Land that is plentiful, streams of abundance flow. Blessed be your name. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's an 8-beat C chord there. So when there's like a pause, or where there's like a kind of end of a phrase feeling, it's a good opportunity to ad-lib. That being said, in the key of G, I just showed you how I would ad-lib on the C. But it doesn't only have to be a C. In general, let's say, faithful you are, can add them anywhere. So what's my formula for doing that, if there is one? I like to call it the magic box. Key of G, you start with G, you go down 2 frets, and I have these 2, and then I go down 2 frets, and then from the 2nd fret, I put my index finger there. This is gonna be my marker. So one more time, key of G, I put my thumb or my index finger on G, go down 2 frets, and this is where the magic box will start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the G string, I actually have to go up. Get used to that. And then back to 1. So again, it starts with 2 frets below the 1 note, and then there's 3 strings worth of magic box that you can play around with. And then I showed you just now, I can use my index finger, stretch it, and fret above. Another way you can do it for ad-libbing is also slide. So you can slide there, and then keep it 2 fret difference if you like that. That's something I like to use a lot personally. And then slide back up, or 2-1. So you can play around with that. The key is use your creativity. As long as you have your basic knowledge of the scale of the notes, you can play around with the magic box. But what if people who don't want to just use a magic box, they want to play around a bit more? I also have other ways of ad-libbing, just kind of giving you more options. Whenever let's say I end in a phrase with C, I showed you earlier, blessed be your name, and then another one I like to use is blessed be your name. So whenever I want to ad-lib around with the 4 chord, with the C and the key of G, I can play around with them here, and then if I don't want to move around as much, I can just play around with those notes. If I want to go further, that's my 4 chord ad-lib, if I don't want to move anywhere. If you want to ad-lib around that, you can play around with those notes. The 1 chord, I like to just do octave, and then play around with that 7. Other than that, I just go into magic box. Another common one I like to use, because the most common chords you see in most kind of conventional, typical worship songs is G, D, E minor, C in the key of G. So I just showed you C, and I just showed you G. I just showed you C. What about D? For D, I like to do this. I like to kind of do more, just kind of those kinds of things. I play around, if I don't want to move around too much, I have to kind of stretch my fingers more to make it consistent in the key of G. You can go back and replay that to kind of give you a feel of that ad-lib. So it's a little harder because you have to stretch 1 4, and then back to 4 2 or 1 2, however you want to finger it. You can go back and play that for the 5 chord for D. But yeah, that's the gist of it. I played around with G, the 1 chord, C, the 4 chord. I forgot the 6 chord. 6 chord is one of my favorites because you can go. It's very easy and more comfortable to ad-lib with the 6. This is E minor. what I like to do is I start the ad lib with my ring finger. And there you have it. That's kind of my ad lib area for the sixth chord for the E minor. Yeah. So there you have it. There's my ad lib for G, D, E minor, C. For both the magic box method that I showed you, kind of my own way of doing things, but it's adopted by the pentatonic scale. If for you theory musicians, if you know what that is, you can see similar kind of intervals there. For you people who don't have time to study music, whatever, just want an easy, fast solution for ad-libbing, you can just go back and replay what I just showed you and play around with those notes. And they're all just a basic rule of thumb in general is play with what sounds right, and what generally sounds right is the notes that fit within the key. So this is key of G, what I showed you, and those notes that I showed you all fit within the key of G. All right, thank you.